And at that point, I'm not saying like I was crushing it, but I was dating more beautiful women than I'd ever dated in my life, and had no trouble meeting beautiful women. And that was the point where it happened.
They're everywhere.
It was abundance. It was at that point where it was like,
you had a moment of clarity.
Yes, when I first met her, I was like, that's the prettiest girl I've ever seen. But like when we were having this conversation, I was like, oh, now like I can be a little bit more selective. But have you ever had a guy that you thought of as just a friend? He wasn't like ugly or anything weird about him, and then you saw him with another girl and you changed your feelings about him? Is that
No, I don't.
No?
That might just be a me thing, though.
No, it's fine. I'm just curious. Yeah, sometimes.
No. And I've even had, like, guys who I've slept with. Like, there was one guy that I used to sleep with in Tampa, just very casually. And he got a girlfriend. We obviously stopped, like, doing that. But it wasn't anything weird. Like, she knew who I was. Like, I would see them randomly out. I would go up. I'd give them both a hug, and everything was
They invited you over.
Oh, I wish. But, no.
You just proved my point. That was good point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my point.
Sorry. No, well, I just like sometimes bring a little unicorn. That's all.
Yes, unicorns are life.
That had nothing to do with him specifically.
Yeah.
His girlfriend was hot, though, so I think I was falling more for his girlfriend than him anyway.
Right. Social proof there. Okay. Do we have any other? What was the?
Oh no, I got some super chats, and they're really good questions. That's why I want to get to some of these. I'm going to start the first one here. Ladies, do you tend to date men who have similar personalities to your father's, even if your father was had narcissistic traits, or even if your dads are extremely nice?
Ooh.
Red, what do you think?
Yes, in some cases, yes. Like I noticed that it's all very subconscious, but yes, in a lot of ways. And that's like a normal tendency for women to take part in, just the same with men and their mothers. But I don't think that it's like a conscientious thing as much as it's subconscious. Yeah. Because like for me, when I met my husband, I thought they're the complete opposite. Like absolutely no comparison whatsoever. And then after being with him for a few years, married with him for a few years, I'm like, oh, you are like my dad in like little microscopic ways, but the ways that actually would be meaningful to my life and have kind of synced us up. So yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah, I have the same thing with my husband. In like the same thing. Like I didn't thought about it, and also like after a couple of years, I was like, oh my god, like my dad.
I married my dad.
It's funny, but very luckily, only the good things. Like the only good things about my dad are like similar to my husband's, and
I agree. Yes.
I feel like if a woman like early ages, child development, whatever. If you have a present father in your life, automatically as you grow up, and this is the person who's helping raising you. So that is the male example that you're going to have. That's who you're looking at. Oh, automatically you're going to date people and attract people that are like your father. It could be very damaging sometimes if you have a terrible father figure, but it could also come from, daddy issues, wanting that bond, and you find someone similar like that. So, yeah, I think that I know I attract people who are like my dad. I attract very charismatic, goofy people because I'm the same way. Like I love to laugh, and I love a guy who knows how to make me laugh.
Armani, I don't think you have trouble attracting anyone. I don't really think like when you say I attract men who are like this, I just really don't. I'm not trying to hit on you or whatever, but I just don't think you have a trouble. I think what I'm saying is I don't think you like have trouble attracting an asshole versus a nice guy. I think they're all just kind of like.
You'd be so surprised.
The ones you pick.
Yeah.
It's the ones you pick.
But like.
Yeah. I agree that you probably picked the goofy ones. I think you may find them attractive.
I do find the nerds attractive. I love them. I don't care.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. What was the question again?
For better or worse, like if your father was a narcissistic asshole,
anybody else
if he was a nice guy, do you think that you're attracted to guys that have the same qualities that your father does?
No.
No? Why?
That's just weird for me to date someone that has the similarity as my dad. Like, are we talking about worth ethic? Yes, I want someone who has the similarity as my dad with his worth ethic. Yes, of course. But someone who has the same similarity as my dad, no, that's weird to me. Like, no, I wouldn't find that attractive. No.
Wasn't it Freud who talked about this? Yeah.
Which thing that was Freud?
The whole there's like a
that's falling in love with your mother.
Yeah, but then like as you get older,
there's an Electra complex too. Which is
like your nervous system just like has like this idea of like what home feels like, even if it's like absolute
Got it.
chaos.
Okay, so you're talking about finding equilibrium through like chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Okay.
whether home was like chaotic or nice, like I feel like you're just generally gravitated towards anything that feels close to
Yeah.
home, just because it feels nice. You know what
Comfort,
I mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're talking about these different stages. I'll tell you a stage I went through. There was definitely a stage in my early 20s where I saw pretty girls who didn't like me and would have done anything to date the pretty girls and did not care about the level of chaos that they needed in their
Was
life.
it like
Yeah.
a game for you?
It wasn't a game. It was survival. It was just like I saw pretty girls who didn't like me, and I was in the gym and working in a nightclub. I was doing everything I could, like trying everything I could because I liked pretty girls. And so, but my selectivity didn't care if they had a relationship with their dad, did not give what their body count was, could not care less what their political affiliation was. None of those things weighed in whatsoever. It was like boobs were big. That was it. That was nothing else.
Is she hot? Is she available?
Yeah, that's it. That's all it was. Now, what happened later on, and I remember the moment it happened, there was a girl, very, very attractive, a dancer who worked at the Rhino, and I was friends with her, and we were all at El Dorado one time. There's a big group. There was a bunch of Rhino dancers, and then there was a bunch of like VIP hosts that I was friends with. We did like an industry event. We're all sitting there, and she starts telling the story about how this male stripper got her pregnant and then like abandoned her. And I remember thinking she was the prettiest girl I'd seen. And I was like, oh my God, this girl's so beautiful. And she just like went off with this guy who got her pregnant and then was sitting there crying to us, and we're looking at her like, you were dating a male stripper. Like we're like confused. And then I just started to realize like that was the first time when it was a turnoff, where I realized like not only
You got
is
the ick.
yeah, well I got the ick because it was the first time where I was like, not only would you mistreat me for treating you good, I can't possibly provide you the level of chaos you need in order to feel fulfilled because of the, like what you said before, the equilibrium that you must have had in your childhood home. And so now when I see women who like crave that level of chaos, like if you tell me your last 3 exes are narcissists, I don't care how big your are. Like it's just like if you have 10 roommates and you think they're all assholes, eventually you're the asshole roommate.
No,
you have to recognize
if you are calling all of your exes crazy, there is something wrong
Yeah.
with
For
you.
sure.
Yeah.
You lack
For
self-awareness.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that goes with both guys or girls. Like if a guy comes up to me and he's like, every single girl I've ever dated, and psycho.
Yeah.
I'm like, you did something.
Yes.
And then like vice versa. Like if a girl's like, all the guys I dated, they were like, I'm like, there's a problem. Like
Right.
you are the common denominator here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it takes like not a lot of people can recognize that like that upbringing can affect them as an adult. I think it takes a lot of self-awareness to heal and move away from that, which a lot of people lack.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. How long did it take you when you were younger and doing all this stuff to go from I just want to like we all still do. We're still doing it. Yeah.
There's still a little bit of that.
But I want to like I want, but I don't want if she's dating the male stripper.
Yeah.
Like that. How long did that take?
it-
And did you have to get to a point of like more sexual abundance?
Yes, so that was it. It was I was 2013 in Vegas, so I'd been here for 2 years. And at that point, I'm not saying like I was crushing it, but I was dating more beautiful women than I'd ever dated in my life, and had no trouble meeting beautiful women. And that was the point where it happened.
They're
It was abundance. It was that point where it was like,
You had a moment of clarity.
yes, when I first met her, I was like, that's the prettiest girl I've ever seen. But like when we were having this conversation, I was like, oh, now like I can be a little bit more selective. But it was one of these things where it was like two things. It was like I already saw in my mind a relationship with her where she cheated on me because I didn't provide enough chaos, one, and number two, there's no way I could provide enough chaos to make her happy. So this wouldn't have fit. And it was just like one of these things where like I was physiologically turned off by this woman complaining to me about getting pregnant by a male stripper who we all knew was cheating on her when they were like, it wasn't even a secret when they first met. We all knew it. Yes, that's the point. And it was just like, you tolerated that. And I think I'd maybe asked her out once, and I'm not trying to blame her for not going out with me, but it was like, you didn't want to go out with me. I would have never done that to you, but you went out with him, and it was like, it was a turnoff. There was a first point, and then from that point on, it just got easier and easier.
So the personality like overrode the boot.
For sure. Like there are points where like a girl is like incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled. Entitlement now turns me off very much.
See, I think a lot of guys presume that they're already at that stage. Like, oh, I would never get into that. Like, how to vet some girl, and you know they got a notch count of like maybe 2 girls, right?
Yeah.
Or they have no idea what, but they don't know enough. Like you had to go. I mean, how long it took you to get to that point? But you had to go through girls, and you had to go through abundance. You had to go through a process before you could actually like realistically, educatedly make a determination.
It was like 2 years years out of the military. That's when I kind of figured it out. But living in Vegas, you have so much abundance just with the just from physically attractive women. You have so much abundance from living here that you can just like, you start to recognize as a man like what your value is.